Oh, let's take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Yeah. I will take that as okay. We thank you, each and every one of you individually, all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction. Once again, each and every time your civilization interacts with our civilization in this way, it creates a link, a bridge, and a third reality in which we can, one day, interact more and more closely, more and more immediately. So we thank you for the co-creation of this new paradigm, this new reality in which we can all together learn to play. This day of your time, this transmission will begin with a discussion of imagination. Now we have talked about imagination many times. We would like to take the concept a little bit further this day of your time. We have reminded you of the synchronicity in many of the words that exist in various languages on your planet. We understand the channel's language is English, and in this context, we point out again, as many of you are already familiar with, the synchronicity of the word imagination. Magi, nation. A nation of magicians is what you are. And you can use your imagination to create the kind of nation, the kind of world that you prefer. Imagination is an extremely powerful tool, and we will discuss in what ways this is so, and how you can apply your imagination in very powerful ways to allow and to create the kinds of changes that you would prefer to represent within your lives, individually, and again, within your lives, collectively, globally. And as you thus then move out into the cosmos, into the stars, and join with us eventually, you will find imagination is going to play a very key role in your ability to do that. So let us begin. We will remind you, first of all, that we have talked about the idea that imagination is the conduit between your higher mind and your physical mind. It is the pipeline through which your higher mind communicates with you, and through which, in receiving that communication, you can then, as physical beings, as physical personalities, apply the information, the imagination that comes from higher mind, the communication, into your physical lives, to alter them, to change them in ways that are more reflective of your passion, your excitement, your joy, your preference, or not. It is up to you to use this positively or negatively. It is up to you. But imagination is the key to allow an alignment to occur. And if you are willing to use your imagination without filtering the communication from your higher mind through belief systems that contain fear, then you will find that the outcome can always be a positive one, and you can always amplify and magnify that in any direction, in any area of your lives whatsoever, no matter what. Higher mind, again, I remind you, has the far-seeing point of view. It stands on the mountaintop. It can see all the pathways you could possibly take in life, and it guides you toward the path of least resistance, the path that is most truly you. As we have said many times, the vibration of excitement, the vibration of passion is what functions like the compass needle. It is your magnetic north to your true self. By following your passion, by following your excitement, by pointing the needle in that direction and that direction only, you will always be completely, purely, squarely on the path that is most truly you, your core, true, natural self. Your imagination is the conduit through which your higher mind can guide you in this very easily, if you allow it to be effortless, which you can. Physical mind, then, chooses in physical reality various ideas of how to apply these ideas coming from the higher mind in ways that are also pleasing to the physical being that you are, the physical personality that you are, and you learn to work in concert as a whole being, as a whole person with the higher mind. For if the physical mind thinks that it must take on the job of figuring everything out, how is this going to happen? How can I make this happen? How can I bring everything together to get this to happen? If the physical mind thinks that it must be the only one doing that job, it is going to be burdened, it is going to be weighed down, it is going to be tired. Because the physical mind is not designed to know how things will happen. The physical mind is only designed to know how things have happened. The idea is thus then to trust the higher mind to let you know that if the higher mind is sending you information that pushes you in the direction of your passion and you trust that, what the higher mind is telling you is that by following your passion, the how will be taken care of, because the higher mind can see how you're going to get there, and the translation of that how through the imagination is the physical sensation of excitement, joy, passion, and love. That's how the higher mind speaks to the physical mind through the conduit of imagination, with those feelings, those vibrations, those energies, those pictures. So the physical mind can learn to relax and not feel it has to carry all the weight of the world on its shoulders for figuring out exactly how everything's going to come into manifestation in its life. You can allow the higher mind to guide you in that, and you can relax and ride the wave of the energy that the higher mind sends through the imagination and allow things to unfold in a synchronous manner, in an effortless, joyful, creative, loving manner. And thus then find yourself flowing through life. And even if the path that it leads you down may seem to be going left, going right, going here, going there, going where you least expected it to go, that is cause for celebration. Because as we say in our world, anytime something unexpected comes up, you want to say congratulations. Now you know you're really following your joy and allowing your life to unfold synchronously in front of you without it being so planned out, so rigidized, so insisting that it must be one way or another. Because if you really are open to the idea of what your higher mind can do through your imagination, it will almost always bring you something that is even more exciting than the physical mind was capable of actually picturing. So when you insist that it must be a certain way, you're actually limiting the ways in which it could actually come to you that might even be more exciting than you are actually capable of imagining. But imagination can act as the guide, the initial visualization mechanism to at least give you a bearing, give you a heading. And you can use that picture as a symbol to represent the energy, to symbolize the energy of the reality that is representative of your highest joy, of who you wish to be. But if you rigidize that picture and insist that it must turn out that way, then you're actually fighting against the flow of your higher mind. If you relax that it could come to you in another way and that what you're picturing is just a representation of that reality, then the energy can flow and you may find yourself winding up in a situation that is even more wildly fantastic than you were at first capable of picturing. Now, here is something else that is very important to understand about what imagination is. First of all, of course, understand it is a state of being. And any state of being causes certain kinds of states to exist in the neurology of your brain. When you are in an imaginative, creative state, your brain, the neurology, the way the electrical pathways flow will be different than any other state. Here is something that is important to understand. When you are born in physical reality, The first moment that you crystallize, shall we say, your spirit into the physical matrix, it crystallizes a kind of pattern within you that represents the idea of your soul agreement, your relationship to your higher self at that moment. What happens to it from there on will depend upon a lot of things, including input from your parents, society, so on and so forth. But that core agreement, that core relationship will always exist. So when you go through life, and you've lived several years, and maybe you find yourself becoming in your older age a little bit confused, a little bit forgetful of where you're going, why you came here, so on and so forth, looking for your joy, looking for your passion. Going into the state where you allow yourself to communicate with higher mind through your imagination will actually always bring you back to your 0 moment agreement of when you were born. It will actually restructure the neurological pathways of the brain back to that childlike moment where anything is possible. That's what's key to understand about the function of imagination in your physical reality. It's your reset button. So when you find yourself feeling lost, feeling confused, feeling at odds, go into your imagination. Open up the conduit of communion between your physical mind and higher mind and push the reset button. Go back to the 0 point. Let the neurological pathways realign. And then in that state, open up to the infinite possibilities and the choices you have made. And go forward from there afresh, anew, reinvigorated as a new persona. Because again, remember. When you make any change, you have made a total change. And that is what imagination allows you to do. Realign yourself in such a way in bringing yourself back to a kind of 0 point that you can then step out from there on any path you really so desire that is representative of your highest passion. And know that when you do so, you really have cleaned the slate. And anything that may have seemed to be an issue that was an obstacle or a complication in your life formerly, at that moment of zeroing yourself out, is actually no longer there. Now, you can co-create it again. You can say, oh, it's still there. I still have to get over this. I still have to deal with this. You can do that. If that's your process, that's fine. I am not telling you how to live your life. If you want to include complications and misery in your life, please go ahead. I will not stop you, because if that's what gives you, quote-unquote, joy, then by all means go ahead and involve yourself in that idea of struggle. If that's your process, love it. And then you'll get the most out of it. What I am simply saying is you do not have to do that. You actually have a choice. And in that moment that you zero yourself out with your imagination and allow your neurology to realign, recrystallize back to that first moment, that first agreement, when you were a child, a newborn child, and step forward in that state of being, then all bets are off, as you say. You really have lost your history. You really only live in the present in that moment. And what you do from that moment forward is up to you. And it will be, it can be your reality completely, wholly, totally. Now, we have talked about the idea of imagination in context to the concept of all that is. The universe, if you will, the multiverse, creation in totality. Whatever you wish to label it, it doesn't matter. And then we spoke about the idea of understanding this. You cannot imagine non-existence. Go ahead, I'll give you a minute, try it out. There, you see? Couldn't do it. Because the point is that even if you could, by definition, imagining non-existence would be non-experiential. Therefore, how would you know you had done it? You would have no experience of it. And in having no experience of it, in that context, it isn't relevant. It doesn't exist. Therefore, conversely, anything, everything that you can imagine is somewhere, somewhen, somehow a reality, a real reality. It may not necessarily be relevant to the reality you are creating on Earth, but it is nevertheless real in some parallel dimension, some other reality, whatever you wish to label it. Whatever you imagine is also happening simultaneously with the reality that you are actually physically experiencing. So if in your imagination you do imagine you have 3 arms, wings, 4 eyes, and are purple, there is a reality where such a being, such a version of your soul actually does exist. It may not ever cross paths with you on Earth. You may never know that until you go to higher planes where you can see more of your soul's creation, and then you will go, oh yeah, there I am. Doing that thing in that universe with that kind of a form for that kind of a reason, because that's a symbol and a reflection of that kind of path and that kind of an experience. So anything you imagine is, in fact, tapping into some other simultaneously coexistent real reality. Yes, really, really real. Just as real as you feel your physical reality is for you. Now, the idea, of course, is one of discernment. It is real, but is it relevant to your reality? The idea of following your joy, following your passion, it's not to say you cannot create that here, but it is highly improbable, not impossible, but highly improbable based on the agreement you made to participate in the co-created mass consensus reality of Earth at this point in space-time, as you have created it. Strange things can happen on your planet, and strange things have and always will. And some of them are the confluence of someone actually fully letting go of any assumptions and expectations about what this reality has to be, opening the door a little wider than normal, and perhaps suddenly, there you go, something pops in that may not normally be relevant to your reality, and suddenly a legend is born, a myth is born. Oh, did you know there was such a creature, such a thing, such a happening? Well, those things do happen. They may pop in, they may pop out, and never be seen again. That doesn't mean they weren't real at that moment. It may have simply been only, in a sense, I'll put it this way, a momentary defocusing, a momentary relaxing of your agreement, but it also may be part of your agreement in the sense of presenting those kinds of ideas and realities to yourself so that you can play off them, reflect off them, and see how it might apply to some aspect of your agreement here in this reality. Nothing happens by accident. It can all be played off of. It's all an orchestration. All we are simply saying is, it's also a matter of discernment as to what works for you. And if you use your imagination in this way and apply these things in a manner that will work for you based on your understanding of your true self and the agreement that you made to be your true self in this particular modality, in this particular reality, then you can stay aligned and harmonious with your higher self and understand what it is you can achieve in this reality. You have far fewer limitations in this reality than you think, even within the parameters of the limitations you have imposed upon yourself for what is possible in this reality, or at least what is probable. The idea is that anything that represents your true joy, anything that represents your true self, your true passion, is manifestable. Is manifestable. But it is also about you paying attention to what is actually representative of your passion and not representative of your anxiety that is simply being called your passion. It requires discernment on your part to know whether you're coming from fear or true joy, and not labeling things that are representative of your fear as excitement when they actually in fact are not, but also vice versa. Not labeling your joy as a fear when it actually is representative of your true path. Because many people on your planet will stay away from the thing that really excites them the most because they have put a label of fear on it or society has taught them to do so. This again is where your imagination can, in a sense, come to the rescue. Go back to your 0 point, press your reset button and go, wait a minute. Who am I at the core? Who do I imagine myself to really be? What kind of person am I passionate about being? What kind of life am I passionate about living? In your imagination, you can see all those things. And that's why I have said many, many times what's important. Whether it becomes literally manifest as you see it in your imagination or not, what's important for communication and harmonization between the physical mind and higher mind is that when you do get a picture in your imagination of who you prefer to be, what you prefer to be doing, where you prefer to be doing it, how you prefer to be doing it, when you see that, all you really have to do is mimic it, mirror it, act it out as best as you can on all levels of your life. All you have to do is be like that person in your mind's eye. Do things the way he or she would do it. And then when you start doing things the way he or she would do it, you will change your vibration to the vibration that is representative of that life. And when you shift your vibration to the representation of that life, you will start to synchronistically have that life. All the things that are representative of what that you would have will come in. So that's how to use your imagination as an actual tool, an actual application tool. The idea being that when you open up to your imagination, you reset yourself, take yourself back to 0. Then you create the picture that is you, that you prefer to be. Then you act like it. You behave like it. And then you have 1, 2, 3, the whole manifestation process right there. 1, 2, 3. Let yourself reset using your imagination. Let yourself create using your imagination. Let yourself act it out using your imagination. And your imagination, thus then used in the 1, 2, 3 way, will allow you to become the magician that you are, and you will become a nation of magi. Do you understand this? All right. Now, we will, as this transmission goes on, of course, investigate some of these concepts a little bit more deeply and a little bit more personally as you engage us in questions and discussions. And just the thing to keep in mind while this is going on is that no matter how physical this interaction seems, it's also all happening in your imagination. Because remember, physical reality isn't by itself real, except the experience of it is. Physical reality and everything you experience in your life is created, whether you know it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, through what you imagine your reality to be. Your beliefs, obviously, your definitions obviously play a part. Your emotions play a part. Your thoughts play a part. But it is your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts that all wrap together into the triangle of your personality prism. And once it locks together in that triangle is the template of the imagination that activates your reality. That's the conduit through which you send those beliefs, definitions, emotions, and thoughts up to the realm of the higher self, where manifestation is immediate and instantaneous, and energy is all pervasive. Then the higher self, the higher mind, sends that thought, reflects it back through the imagination to the physical mind, and gives it to you in terms of the passion of your true self, so that by simply acting on it, by simply following your passion, the higher self lets you know, this is the wish you have sent me, translated into the language of the higher mind. Do it. Act it out. Act it out, and you will be speaking the language of the higher mind. You will be blended and harmonized as the physical mind and a higher mind into one holistic being, one holistic person that can then reflect that relationship into manifestations in an imagination reality that is being created by you. It is just a mirror. That's all it is. It's just reflecting back what you imagine it can be. That's all it is. So, as we said, with that in mind, we would invite you, in whatever way, shape, or form you imagine you would like to do it, to share with your questions or statements. Well, not really.
Okay, so my question is...
You are seeing the channel's body, you're not seeing mine.
Very true. Numbers.
Numbers, vibrations,
Exactly.
proportions, ratios.
What brought me here?
Yes.
I see them all the time.
Yes. It's your synchronistic markers.
What do they mean?
They let you know when you are in the appropriate vibration of your true self. They're like road signs, a road map.
Okay.
You're using them as markers to let yourself know you are still on the vibrational path that you prefer to be on at that moment. At that moment. Thus, then, the idea is that whatever the vibration feels like at that moment, that's the vibration to explore. That's where the information lies that you need. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Does that answer your question? It's not a big mystery, you know.
To a degree.
Yes.
So after I started listening to your videos,
yes.
Connecting more to my higher self,
yes.
Listening more,
yes.
How can I connect more to that physically?
Well, are you following the entire formula for acting on your highest joy?
I am, until I have that arrow in the unexpected direction.
Then why isn't that included in the definition of your joy? Why is that made to be an exception?
It's not that it's an exception, it's just that it throws me off.
So what?
You're right. So what?
Isn't that part of the idea of having surprises in life? You don't want your life to be boring, right?
Definitely not.
Well, then welcome the unexpected direction changes. That's what it's all about. Yes?
Yes.
Well, then include it in the definition of your joy. Because you are making it an exception, or it wouldn't throw you off. You would recognize it as a change of direction that serves you. You wouldn't have a question about it at all if you weren't defining it in some way as something different from your joy. You're saying it doesn't belong there somehow. But it does.
Okay. It's just that when I'm led by my emotions,
yes,
it throws me off, and then
but your emotions are there to get in touch with what beliefs generate them. Remember, belief comes first. You cannot have an emotion without believing something to be true first. So if you're having a certain emotion, it's telling you you have a belief that generated this. If you don't prefer the feeling and you don't prefer the belief, find out what you would have to believe is true about yourself in that circumstance in order to generate that feeling. Then change that belief if you don't prefer it.
Okay.
So use the emotion to find out what the belief is.
Okay, I've been working on that.
Well, all right. Then how long will you continue to work on it as opposed to simply using it?
I have used it.
Now and then, yes, but obviously there are times when you don't, or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
You're right.
I know, that's why I said it. So it's only about the times you don't do that we're focused on, yes?
Yes.
So find out why you're making a difference between the times you use it and the times you don't. Because that's the only reason you don't use it all the time, is because in your definitional belief system, you're making a difference between this situation and that situation.
Okay. Manifestation.
Manifestation is simply the recognition, the ability to see, the ability to perceive what was heretofore invisible to you, but has always been here.
Yes.
And so?
And so I visualize.
Yes. And?
To become that frequency.
And
It doesn't always happen.
Congratulations! Remember when I asked you if you were using the entire formula of excitement? You said yes,
right.
but you just said no.
Okay.
Do you remember the entire formula? This goes for visualization as well. Would you like us to repeat it?
Yes.
Is everyone paying attention? Yes. Act on your highest excitement every moment that you can to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
With zero assumption, insistence, or expectation as to what the outcome ought to be. Zero.
How do you let go of those expectations?
I'll tell you, thank you. You let go of the expectations by understanding that whatever your physical mind is capable of expecting or whatever your physical mind is capable of visualizing as an outcome falls way short of what your higher mind could actually bring to you. So when you understand that by simply adhering and insisting on the physical mind's interpretation that you're actually limiting the outcome, maybe then you'll stop doing that.
I'll keep telling myself that.
When you believe it, things will change.
I believe it.
Then things will change. Not because you need them to. Remember, you have to decide to be happy for its own sake. You can't decide to be happy because you'll get this if you do. That's called expecting an outcome. That's called putting a condition on it. You're happy because that's the state you prefer, and you don't care what happens. Because whatever happens, by definition, when you're in a positive state, must still serve you in a positive way. So it doesn't matter what happens. Because you understand that the true proof of change is not that the outside world changes. The true proof of change is that you respond differently even if the outside world stays the same. That's how you prove you've changed. And when you prove you have changed, then the outside world knows it's true and will reflect the change. But if you change in order to get the outside effect, you haven't changed because you're still doing it externally instead of internally. And therefore, if you're still doing it with the condition that if you change, the outside must change, the outside reflection knows you haven't changed, and therefore it doesn't.
Okay, can you recap? Just to the part where you're saying that you have to change for yourself and not for the expectation.
There is no other reason to be happy other than that's the state you prefer.
Okay.
Don't create any other reason.
Okay.
And when you don't create other reasons, then everything that is reflective of that happiness will appear in your life. But not because you need it to, because you don't care, because you have simply chosen to be happy for no other reason than that's what you prefer.
Okay,
It's again like the idea of looking in a mirror and seeing your reflection frown. If you sit there and go, I will smile when you smile first, you're going to be standing there for a long, long, long time. But if you say to the reflection, you know what, I don't care if you smile back, I'm going to smile because that's what I prefer. Well, then what happens in the reflection? It smiles back because it doesn't have a choice but to reflect what you truly are for its own sake. Not because you need the reflection to smile back, just because you feel like smiling. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, lucidity and dreams.
Dreams.
Yes, dreams.
What about them?
Okay, is there a permission slip to gain more lucidity into my dreams?
Absolutely.
Tell me.
Well, there are many ways to go about it. One technology permission slip that has now been invented on your planet is what is called an REM mask. You wear it while you're sleeping. It generates a flash of light in such a way as to remind you, because the light enters the dream and the light reminds you that you're dreaming. So then if you allow yourself to remember that that's what the light means, you'll wake up in the dream. You'll be lucid. And at that moment, you can actually send a signal back to the mask to stop flashing so it doesn't interrupt you. So, look it up. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. Now one more. Okay, can you tell me about the energy centers in the chakras?
Yes, I can, but not now.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
So earlier this year, I had the experience where I was laying in my bed.
Oh, how exciting.
And feeling like there was a distinct presence at the foot of my bed.
A distinct presence.
That was sort of swaying me back and forth to where I was sort of being pulled out of my body. That's what it felt like. And that's when my mind started traveling to other places and I was experiencing other things.
All right. Well, so far this all sounds pretty normal.
And every time I would come back into my body, I'd go back out again. But the last time it felt like I was being pinned down.
Yes.
And that became very scary for me.
Oh,
so I
all
tried
right.
to wake myself up.
Yes,
can you help me understand what
Well, there are
that's
many
about?
things that can be going on there. If you are in that sense, actually allowing yourself to shift out into other dimensions, sometimes the idea is that when you want to stop doing that, you have to throw a switch in the amygdala of your brain to paralyze your body. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because then you are, in some senses, forcing yourself to remain in one particular modality, one particular frequency. Now, there are beings that know how to do this when taking you from one dimension to another, and it can feel like you're being pinned down, so to speak. But it's really just flipping a switch in your amygdala. And this is what happens for most people on your planet also when you dream. Because if that switch didn't paralyze you, you would act out your dreams. This is what happens with sleepwalking. The amygdala switch hasn't gone on. You understand?
I do.
So, there can be many different kinds of experiences you may be having that can trip that switch or give you that paralytic or pinned down feeling.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually important to do that when transferring from one dimension to another so that the particular frequency you are at when you are frozen, so to speak, will remain the frequency that you're at so that it can be more precisely calibrated what dimension you're going to instead of simply randomly flying off and finding yourself you know not where.
Okay. Is there anything to be afraid of? 'Cause
No.
It brings up a lot of fear for me.
No. The only thing you are feeling is the idea that when that happens, again, going back to the survival instinct component of your physical mind, it's going into the idea of survival instinct. It's going into fight or flight mode. It's going into the idea that it's being annihilated, that it's being controlled in that sense. You understand?
Yes.
But there is really nothing to fear.
Okay. So
Again, remember, anything you will ever discover in the unknown is just more of you.
right.
Even if you are dealing sometimes with what you would consider to be other entities, other beings, more often than not, those other beings, those other entities are just other versions of you in a different reality. And you're interacting with yourself. So perhaps, if you feel that, the way to dispel it would be to say, howdy there. I recognize you. You understand?
I do.
And have a little fun with it. Play with it a little bit and see if that will help you feel a little bit more relaxed. And a little bit more fluid. And a little bit more flexible. And a little bit more in control. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
It does.
And?
I have one more question.
I know.
So in the process of detoxifying the body,
Yes.
I find that many people I help, there's a synthetic sort of orange kind of sulfur residue in the body that sometimes comes from different ant drugs.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions for how to move this out? Because it's really hard.
What form of detoxification are you utilizing?
Raw foods and herbs.
All right. There is a number of places that have extremely powerful detoxification programs and regimens. We have suggested one that we guided the channel to discover to answer these kinds of questions. Is that what you have been using?
Yes.
All right. And you find that the residue remains?
Yes.
Have you done the full-length detoxification?
Yes, even with people who've been doing it for a long time.
Have you done the incurables program?
I feel like I'm doing something very similar to the Incurables program.
Such as?
A similar line as American Botanicals, very comprehensive
All right.
line of herbal formulas.
In what way are you still detecting the compound in the body?
The iris reading.
All right. One moment. Up the lemon juice content by a factor of 3 at least.
Okay.
That will help flush it out the rest of the way. It may have to go up to 10 times the amount, but somewhere between 3 and 10 times the lemon juice factor, it will help flush that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
At various spots on this planet, there seem to exist gravitational and spatial anomalies. I'm talking about places like the Santa Cruz Mystery Spot, the Oregon Vortex.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you can tell us what this is about.
Well, we mentioned this to some degree a little while ago about the idea that these electromagnetic fields on your planet are always in fluctuation and sometimes can give different values to the geomagnetic field, the electromagnetic field, especially when they overlap or reinforce each other. Look at it as resonance. Look at it as standing waves. Look at it as waves reinforcing or canceling each other, and you'll have a better understanding of why some of these anomalies exist. Because there are certain balance points, shall we say, on your planet, being that it is a kind of a crystalline form, certain nexus points, whereby these overlaps may be reinforced in higher degrees of probability than other places. And thus then you may find that some of these anomalies will happen in those places more likely than others. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Are these anomalies centered at some particular point, say under the ground, or some point that could be located via an experiment?
Yes. Some of your electromagnetic sensors are somewhat sensitive enough to pinpoint these things.
And can you tell us a little bit more about specifically the phenomena that are occurring in these spots? There seems to be an anti-gravity phenomenon, and some people claim they're time shift phenomena as well.
Well, in a sense there are, but remember, time shift phenomenology isn't really anything more than shifting by a greater degree to a parallel reality that's coexistent. Because there really is no such thing as time travel, because everything exists at once. So even when you think you're going into your past, it isn't your past. It's simply another parallel reality that looks like your past.
Okay.
Does that answer the first part?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yes, it does.
And again, the idea is that there will be shifts in all of these ways. These portals, some of them are stronger than others. Some of them are more connected to other dimensions than others. One very strong portal on your planet is that which you refer to as the Bermuda Triangle. The idea here is that it is a great overlap portal, multidimensional overlap portal. And many different kinds of things can find their way through it. Those that know how to utilize it, those that know how to set up a resonance field in order to utilize it, can navigate in it to different dimensions. Those that may simply have the experience of happening to match a certain resonant frequency within the overall chords or tones of that field may simply find themselves shifted to another dimension without knowing how they got there or how to get back. Some of this can sometimes seem like time displacement. Some of it can sometimes seem like anti-gravity, levitational displacement. Sometimes it can seem like a few other kinds of things as well.
I see. So you're saying it's a sort of dimensional shift that can appear to manifest in various ways.
Yes, because there are always dimensional overlaps. And it depends upon the resonance and the overlapping harmonics of the different kinds of energy fields that determines exactly how that portal is experienced. It's like a switching track in a sense. It's always fluctuating in terms of its direction, in terms of what it's connected to, in terms of what it's anchored to a great degree. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Right.
It's really more like music than anything else. There are places where everything harmonizes, and there are places where things are discordant. It's sort of like that, although that's an oversimplified definition. And sometimes it will change, because these things are always fluctuating. When you can map them and understand them, you can learn to use them navigationally or in a variety of ways. You could, by finding the right frequency in the Bermuda Triangle, create what might be kind of a crystalline looking glass device. This crystalline looking glass device, when pitched to the right frequency in that particular portal area, or a few other portals around your planet, would actually allow you to see images from parallel realities, including what you would think of as your past or your future, even though they are simultaneously concurrent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, one moment. There will be a number of overlapping frequencies that would be required to be infused into this crystalline form in order for it to function that way, in order for it to randomly key itself into the vibrational resonance patterns of that portal in such a manner as to be guided or directed in the way that we are speaking of. You can begin with the earth vibration, not only of 7.5 to 7.8 cycles per second, but also the vibration of C sharp. And if you begin to explore there and have sensitive enough equipment with the right constitution of crystal window, and maybe even what you would call the liquid crystal windows, so to speak, might be capable of doing this if you fluctuate them at the right frequency, you'll begin to see forms forming, shadows forming in these windows at the proper pitch, at the proper resonance, that will be indications of consciousness expressing itself in other dimensions. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Does this help you?
Yes. May I ask a related question?
Yes.
In Peru, there are various artifacts that appear to be gateways carved in blocks of solid stone.
Yes.
Can you tell us what these are about?
Well, there are different types. Some of them were to some degree what we're talking about, but in a different way. These gateways, when carved in a certain proportion out of a certain mineral, contained a certain resonance that allowed people who knew how to match that frequency to be able to become what you would call clairvoyant, to see into other realities. Clairsentient. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
So in that sense, it was a similar idea, but it happened within the person, not within a device, other than the fact that the doorway itself surrounded them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
It does. May I ask, is there a particular modality that one could use to activate one of these devices?
If the device, you're talking about the doorways?
Yes.
If the device is still intact, or can be made to be intact, or a new device, a new doorway carved that contains all of the proper proportions and ratios, then again the idea of meditation in that space and also aligning with the gamma frequency can perhaps begin this process again. At the same time, there is another such device referred to in your language as the psychomantium. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
The psychomantium, in a sense, allows you to peer into the etheric realm of spirit, or to train you to become more sensitive to it, sitting in a room, perhaps a small room or a small space, with a mirror pointing at a blank wall so that you see nothing in the mirror at all but the blank wall. Not your reflection, not anything else. And having no light but a single candle. And then just gazing into the mirror. This is a form of scrying, a form of crystal gazing, but it is one that is profoundly connected to the vibrations within you that are connected to the spirit realm. So if you create the psychomantium in that sense, you can train yourself to see spirits in the mirror. That's another such permission slip device. All right?
All right, thank you.
Does this help you?
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day to you too. I have a couple questions.
Yes.
One of them is related with today's topic, the parallelogram.
Yes.
After I heard your speech, your explanation, I thought I understood. Then I was at the table having lunch with another friend.
Yes.
And then I realized that I was more confused than before.
Oh, congratulations.
Welcome to the team.
Oh.
So I'm going to tell you what kind of understood, and please help me to understand better.
Or you could simply tell us what you're confused about.
Well, it works both ways.
All right.
Okay, good. What I understood is this, is some sort of a parallel life that works together and everything happened at the same time. And somehow we are at the center of it. And by the fact of focusing on something, we can shift that reality. And by that fact, instead of being parallel, then they intersect somewhere in the line.
I understand how you're describing this, but that doesn't negate the fact that there's still parallel realities. It's more like the idea that your consciousness shifts to another parallel reality. The consciousness itself is the intersection, not the parallel realities themselves.
Oh, that makes more sense. So
Yes,
then
it
the
does.
parallel part is not outside of us. It's more like, let's call it inside
The structure
of it.
never changes. Your perspective of it changes, and the perspective shift is the intersection between the parallel realities. Parallel realities themselves never intersect. They always are parallel.
So if following that thought, if I am living this kind of a parallel reality, I'm going to be living in a linear way the next, like 1 year from now, another parallel reality. So in both times, let's call it like that, in both times, I am living the same parallel reality.
No.
The same consciousness.
No. You're
Great.
not living the same parallel reality billions of times per second. You're shifting. Parallel reality, billions of times per second. That's what creates the side effect you call time and space, is that your consciousness is shifting through all those parallel realities, which are each frozen like a snapshot. There's no movement, no time, no space, no experience in any parallel reality. It's what you're doing by shifting your consciousness through a series of parallel realities that creates the idea of a parallel reality timeline. But you're actually going like this. Even though it seems like you're going like this. You're actually going like this.
That's the frame that I couldn't get. So the center of it is our consciousness.
Yes. And it averages out and creates a sense of continuity to give you a sense of linearity, but it's anything but linear. You're all over the map.
And how does it work when I change my physical reality to the non-physical reality? Am I still living the parallel?
There is still some degree of that, but not as much. There are certain factors that drop away that are no longer necessary. Thus, then, you can experience more parallel realities simultaneously.
So then the parallel reality is more related to this earth life rather than the ethereal life?
It doesn't have to be.
I know it doesn't have to be, but does it work like that?
It can, if that's your focus, yes.
So then I can be focused in this reality as well as in my non-physical reality. So then blending both of them, I'm going to be in both places at once, or
Well, you are in both places at once.
No, yeah, but when I realize when I don't exist anymore in this earthly life, so then I'm going to be just in one. I'm supposed to.
That's just your perspective. The body will always exist. The life will always exist because everything that exists always exists. You have to again look at this as frozen snapshots. If you take a photograph of yourself right now, and you put that photograph on a table.
Just like the lunch.
Yes. And then you take another photograph of yourself tomorrow and put that photograph on the table. Did the photograph from yesterday disappear? No, it's still on the table. All the photos exist at the same time. They don't go away. Ceasing to exist doesn't mean that the structure changes. What you're calling ceasing to exist is just changing your focus. But just because you've changed your focus to the non-physical photographs doesn't mean the physical photographs have gone away. They still exist. It's just that you're not focused through them anymore.
Interesting.
Make sense?
Now it makes more sense.
All right.
Way before. That's good. Thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
I have another question that
Yes.
it might not be related with this.
Oh, all right.
We might. So anyway,
We
I
will see.
heard many times the concept of being grounded, right? When we are thinking something and we're trying to figure out what to do, the first call is you gotta be grounded, you gotta be smart, you gotta take it easy, and things like that.
Oh, all right.
So that makes sense, right?
In some senses, yes.
All right. So, kind of extrapolating this idea to the ethereal part, is it possible to have some sort of a ethereal grounding?
There always needs to be grounding so that you can bring the energy of your connection to the higher non-physical mind down to earth in order to have an experience, if that's where you want to focus it. Without the grounding part, you haven't made, in a sense, a connection. You haven't made a link. It's like electricity. If there is a short circuit, you're not going to have an effect. So you have to ground the wire and bring the energy through, all the way through the physical material idea, if that's where you want to experience the effect of it. But what you're doing is connecting and linking to the non-physical part, and you're, in a sense, having an experience that's a blending of the two. But you have to have the grounding side, otherwise it just remains an ethereal idea.
So then both groundings are connected. The earth life, the life that I'm living now,
yes,
gotta be grounded with the other part of me that is somewhere ethereal, non-physical, gotta be grounded. And by the fact of connecting or linking both of them, then the balance, at the end, I believe that is what is going to be, the balance in between both, call it both worlds, the earthy one and non-physical one,
yes,
tends to be balanced.
Yes.
Is that the whole concept?
Yes.
Kind of a complicated.
Not really, it's very simple. You have the higher mind, you have the physical mind, you have the template reality in the middle. When you allow yourself to function as a whole person, you are in balance with the physical mind and the higher mind, using the template level reality to shift yourself in the direction of your highest joy.
That sounds great. So
it's very simple.
So that means when I am in this earthly life, or whoever, I'm going to call it about myself.
Yes.
Not so grounded, this is a question, am I producing something on my non-physical part that is also needs some ethereal grounding?
No. The definition of the higher mind is that it is already stable unto itself. It's giving guidance to the physical mind to stabilize it, to allow it to experience what it needs to experience in a certain way. Look at this analogy. The analogy we've often give of a diver diving into the ocean. Mm-hmm. When you're standing on the boat, you're the higher mind. Now you want to project down into physical reality. So you put on the diving mask, you put on the wetsuit, you put on the air tanks, you put on the flippers. You go diving into the ocean. You dive into physical reality. You need the physical mind, the ego structure, the mask, in order to see clearly in that reality. And thus then you have grounded your experience as a higher mind in that reality. But the idea is to do it in a balanced way. You don't expect that diving mask to do anything but paint a clear picture for you. You don't give it any other tasks to do. You don't tell the mask to breathe for you. You don't tell the mask to push you through the water. That's the job of other things. So just letting the mask be the mask lets the mask do its job, and if the mask does its job, you have a very clear view under the ocean of all the fish that you would like to see. When you are done with that, you go back up to the boat, you take the mask off, you take the wetsuit off. That's like the idea of dying. You have no need anymore for that physical mind, but you still have the higher mind, which is, in a sense, from that perspective now, your whole identity. But because the higher mind has given itself the challenge, shall we say, the experience, the theme of exploration, to have this physical incarnation experience, it has created a duality within itself of the version of it that's on the boat and the version of it that's underwater. But both are there at the same time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
All right.
And I will hear the recordings to make sure that it's going to be there forever.
All right. That's your grounding way of balancing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to forget.
If you say so. Remember, that's just a belief that it's easy to forget. When you know something to be true, you never forget it, because knowing and action are synonymous. It becomes part of your behavior. It becomes part of your makeup. What you know to be true, you just do. You don't have to think about it. I ask you to walk across the room. You just walk across the room because you know you can. You don't go, well, let's see. I'm going to think, now, can I walk across? Well, I don't know if I believe I can walk across the... Well, let me think about that. No, you just do it because you know you can do it. That's the idea of the balance point. The higher mind and the physical mind in balance is what you know to be true, you just do. It's one thing, it's one act. Inseparable.
Yeah, I got that one right.
Oh, all right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no more chance for another question. Is that a thank you bye, or
No
can I
more
have
chance?
Yeah, no more chance to ask you another simple question.
Are we rolling dice? Are you flipping a coin?
Sometimes I am.
Would you like to take a coin out and flip it?
I would like to ask the question.
Oh, well, all right. Then you have taken it out of the realm of chance.
That means yes?
That means yes.
Okay, good. This is out of this context. I had some sort of, I would have put it in these words, some sort of a dream. And if it's and I'm not so expert in colors and things like that, but in that particular dream,
Yes.
I saw some sort of a purple rays or lights, big beams of color,
Yes.
projecting out of let's call it in the space or somewhere.
Yes.
And they were kind of embracing with the red and making some sort of a swirls in
Yes.
the black space.
Yes.
And at the same time, in the middle of it, some white light joined to it.
Yes.
And it's kind of a confusing dream. And in the middle of it, I saw more like the birth of the planet.
Yes.
And it was the blending of not exactly, the color was the projection of the huge, giant amount of energy.
Yes.
And the result of it was the planet.
Yes.
I know it was a dream, but
Well, the
that
dream
could be
is simply
possible.
a memory of an experience on another level. So what you were experiencing was what you might call the etheric level and the causal level. The idea that everything that happens in physical reality has to have an energy version first, an energy template first. So you were looking at the pure raw energy states, the vibrational states that ultimately manifested in the physical template of your physical reality, of the planet.
thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. Pleasant dreams.